Presented by Taco Bell. The homestanding Atlanta Braves in the rubber match of the series, taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. First place in the East, the champions of Major League Baseball. They won the World Series last year with very much the same ball club with some enhancements. And at the moment, after the Marlins split a doubleheader with the Rockies, Florida 4 games out, Atlanta 5 games out. The Braves, with a win tonight, if they could take this series, they'd be only 4 out and certainly would be projected into the race. And the wild card, the Braves are also there, and things have become very condensed. Only 3 games separating first place Colorado and 4th place Atlanta, and only a half game for Atlanta over the Chicago Cubs. So they could get even closer if they could win this ball game tonight in that wild card division. Charlie Manuel, a .550 winning percentage, 5 seasons as the manager of the Phillies, including 2 consecutive Eastern Division championships and the World Series title last year. So Charlie had a great deal of success as the manager of the Phillies. In fact, he had a lot of success managing the Cleveland Indians for several years. Just a lot of success as a manager for Charlie Manuel. Let's take a look at Charlie's lineup for the Phillies tonight, presented by Taco Bell. Wow, look at that lineup. No wonder he's had so much success. Jimmy Rollins leads off at shortstop. Shane Victorino in center field. Chase Utley at second base as the Braves take the field. Utley 24 homers. Ryan Howard at first, 28 home runs. Jason Worth in right field, 24 big flies. Raul Ibanez in left field, 27 home runs. Then Pedro Feliz, excellent third baseman, hitting 7th. Carlos Ruiz, the catcher, and the pitcher Jay Happ, rookie. Not much of a hitter, but he's been an excellent pitcher and a key man of that Phillies rotation. So there is J. Roll getting ready to lead off against Javier Vazquez, who is on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. And Vazquez with that 2.9 earned run average, and he had been one of the top pitchers in the National League this year.
Well, Johnny's won his last 5 starts. Well, not the last 5 starts, his last 5 decisions. But the interesting thing for me, he's only given up 1 first-inning run in his last 15 starts, and that came on a home run by Max Venable. And he has a perfect ratio of 5.3 strikeouts for every base on balls. I mean, that's amazing to me.
Javier Vazquez guy gets a lot of swings and misses, but when they do put it in play, the defense is going to be there behind him. And we take a look at the Braves defensively, and Garrett Anderson in left field. Ryan Church getting a start in center field. Nate McLeod out with a hamstring strain, listed day to day. Matt Diaz in right field, and going around the infield, Chipper Jones at third base. Yunel Escobar at short. Omar Infante back off the DL. The left-hand break on August 11th. Adam LaRoche getting the start at first base, filling in for Martin Prado, who's out with some dizziness, thought to be from dehydration. And Brian McCann behind the plate. Brian McCann throwing out 25% of the base runners. Now, Javier Vazquez only 1 stolen base against him in his last 9 starts. That's important because Charlie Manuel said if Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino get on, he's going to try to be aggressive early.
And that is the Phillies game. And that voice was Steve Phillips. You also heard from Joe Morgan. I'm John Miller. U.S. Sunday night telecasters, our 20th season of Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. And we got some pennant race baseball here tonight. Jimmy Rollins, only a .292 on base percentage, 3rd lowest in the league, but he has come on big time here lately. And at long last, this ball game is underway at 9:46 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, about 1 hour and 37 minutes after it was scheduled to begin. Rollins with a soaring fly ball into shallow right. Diaz, 1 away.
Johnny mentioned Rollins had gotten off to a slow start. He got hot for a while, and then he went backwards again. But since July 2nd, he's hitting .324 before he made it out there. But he's been swinging it back much better, hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He's just been doing everything for the Phillies.
And that's when they got hot, when he got hot.
He is definitely the catalyst of this ball club, although they have a lot of other bats as well.
Now Shane Victorino.
He's a catalyst too.
Victorino hitting .311, 9 home runs, 52 batted in. He's got 18 steals. Rollins has 23 steals. Neither one as prolific as they have been in the past. Then again, sometimes it's a little more risky to try and steal a bag. That ball hit the bag, and Victorino's going to keep on going. Diaz picks it up, and Victorino will stop at second with a double. Ground ball that hit the bag.
You know, you hit a lot of balls down at first base line, and very rarely do they hit the bag. But this one hits right at the front of the bag and bounces over LaRoche's head. No chance to make a play, and right at the front of the bag, and LaRoche lets it go down the right field line. Of course, he can't make the play.
I guess sometimes better lucky than good, as that one just pops over LaRoche's head. Diaz comes in. Victorino watching him all the way to see if he could possibly look at third base.
So now Victorino at second base, and here is Chase Utley, 30th double of the year for Victorino. The big power hitters are coming up. Each of the next 4 hitters with big home run numbers. That is a double play. Escobar with a diving tag before Victorino could get back to the bag, and the inning is over. 5 pitches, eventful pitches by Vazquez. And here is the batting order for the Atlanta Braves, presented by Taco Bell. Omar Infante, recently back from the disabled list. Second base, has a hot bat, had the winning hit yesterday. Garrett Anderson in left field. Chipper Jones, third base, hitting .301. Brian McCann, home run yesterday. The catcher, although he's been slumping otherwise. Yunel Escobar, .298, and he's been on fire since the All-Star break. Matt Diaz in right field, the platoon right fielder. Adam LaRoche, a former Brave, now back with the Braves and doing well at first base. Ryan Church in center field, and Javier Vazquez, the pitcher, is batting ninth, all up against the young left-hander Jay Happ out of Northwestern University, and he has been a key man in his rookie season for the Phillies. See his numbers. 99 hits allowed in 121 innings. Jay Happ to Omar Infante, who shows bunt takes too high for ball one.
You see those numbers for Jay Happ, and he wasn't even in the rotation when the season began, but this speaks to consistency right here. 6+ inning pitch and 10 of the 15 starts, going deeper into the game for a young guy, a rookie starting pitcher, and giving his team a chance to win.
He's actually become their #2 starter now, because Hamels is still struggling. Behind Cliff Lee, of course. Lee became the #1 when he came over.
Infante just back on Tuesday from the disabled list. They missed him. Utility player who can play just about everywhere and has swung the bat real well. Yesterday drove in the winning run in the bottom of the ninth inning, capping their dramatic comeback victory. The double error by Brad Lidge, allowing the tying run to score, and then Infante bounced one through a drawn-in infield to send the Braves home happy. Each team has won the game here in the first 2 games of the series in the ninth inning. Phillies one away.
And let's take a look at the Phillies defensively. Pretty good outfield, especially in center field. Shane Victorino's been making great plays here in this series. Worth strong in right field. And on the infield, I like this left side with Phillies and Rollins. I think there's maybe the best left side in the league. And Utley, of course, at second, and Howard has definitely improved as a first baseman. And Carlos Ruiz behind the plate.
0-1 to Garrett Anderson. One out, nobody on here in the first inning. Jay Happ is first in the National League among all rookie pitchers with a 2.75 ERA, as you see Garrett's numbers. And that got him. Anderson hit by the pitch, but Chipper Jones coming up next.
Well, that 2.75 ERA is really indicative of a guy who pitches well with runners on base in the scoring position. And what a 118 batting average against him with runners in scoring position. He makes his best pitches with guys on base, pitching out of the stretch, and when he's in a jam, and that's a nice attribute for such a young pitcher.
We saw that earlier this year in a Sunday night telecast. Matt Cain of the Giants is having an outstanding year. It was real tough when you put men on base. So here is Chipper Jones. Very high for ball one. Chipper's been pretty tough over the years with men on base. Tough to get out. Big time RBI man, now 37 years old. Chipper hitting .301, 15 homers, 54 batted in. And Ibanez out number 2.
Thought he hit that better than that. Must have got it toward the end of the bat. But Chipper's always been stronger actually from the right side as far as just hitting the ball for power. And I thought he got that one much better than that. He hits hitting .317 right-handed as well.
He's averaged 1 home run every 15 at bats right-handed, and only 1 every 23 times up there left-handed. Or in fact worse than that, 33 times left-handed. Here's McCann. McCann only hitting .204 against left-handed pitching this year, and he hadn't been hitting much against any kind of pitching here in the last couple of weeks, although he did hit a 2-run homer yesterday. No score, 2 down. Anderson at first, just a little bit low from Jay Happ.
Had a chance to talk to Terry Pendleton, the hitting coach for the Atlanta Braves, about Brian McCann and his more recent struggles. And I think it's just fatigue is what he thinks. That, you know, you're in the month of August. He's a catcher. The toll that catching takes on you, and the impact it has on your at bats.
Popped up. Ruiz, the Phillies catcher. Nope. What is that down there? Is that a microphone?
Yeah, blame us for that one too, right? Talking to Terry Pendleton, I think with Brian McCann, a little bit he's underwater. Brian McCann's a little bit tired, so his bat's a little bit slower through the zone. And they're looking for ways to try to give him a rest. As you can see, he's just not quite getting around there. And see Carlos Ruiz doing what he needs to do. Get over. He tosses the mask late, gets over to the fence, but just beyond his reach into the stands.
2-1 the count. Belted down the right field line. That ball is one hop, and it stays in the ballpark. Garrett Anderson, though, not a fast runner, and he will be held up at third. And with 2 down, the 37-year-old Garrett Anderson, one of the few Braves who would not have been able to score on that one.
Well, one thing that McCann can do is hit the fastball, whether it's from a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher. He handles the low fastball very well. And he gets a low fastball. Low fastball in or half. And he pulls it down the line. He still got in on him just a little bit, or that ball would have gone out of the ballpark. But Worth handled it well down the line. And as you mentioned, Garrett Anderson, not the speediest of Braves, couldn't score.
He used to run real well.
A lot of knee injuries. He's had a lot of problems with his legs.
Now Yunel Escobar, he's a guy they like to have up there with men in scoring position, and there's a called strike. He is leading the National League in these kind of at-bats with runners in scoring position. Escobar is hitting .421 for the year.
And we always talk about Chipper and those guys, but he's leading the team in RBIs.
one of the real changes to the Braves where their offense started to turn on is Martin Prado started swinging the bat. Not in the lineup tonight, but they moved Prado into the 2-hole in the lineup, and it allowed them to move Escobar down into more of an RBI spot. With the numbers he's putting up with runners in scoring position, it made all the sense in the world.
A ball and a strike. And a foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now you've got, as Steve mentioned, Jay Happ, who's been the toughest in all of Major League Baseball with runners in scoring position. Hitters are hitting only 118 against him, and now he's facing the man who's been the best in the National League in these situations, Escobar. Just off the inside.
Well, he's making some nice pitches. He got in on the hands on the foul ball. That ball was just off the inside, and he would have jammed himself if he would have tried to hit it. See, that ball moves off the plate inside. Excellent pitch there by Happ.
Oh, that K-Zone said that was way off the inside.
Well, but it started on the inside.
2-2. Struck him out. The high, hard one. So a threat for the Braves. But Happ, true to form, strands those runners in scoring position. On to the second. More power coming up for the Phillies. Ryan Howard. Raul Ibanez, 3 home run hitters coming up against Javier Vazquez. Howard hit a home run that was a game winner in the 9th inning here on Friday. And a slider in for a called strike from Vazquez.
John, I think we saw a little bit of the difference between the Braves and the Phillies in the first inning. Shane Victorino, their second place hitter, would have been able to score on that double with 2 outs.
Easily.
Whereas Garrett Anderson wasn't, and now you have power up.
Howard, deep right center field. Diaz going back. It disappears. A home run.
As I was saying, they have power up now to go along with that speed that the Phillies have.
Ryan Howard with his 29th homer, his second in this series, and his third in just the last few days after he went nearly 2 weeks without one.
Yeah, he had been struggling, but then he hit a home run on Friday night as well. This is his 3rd home run since he got started. And they always try to pitch him in. You see where the target was. Ball moved back out over the plate. And even though that ball's inside, he pulls his hands in, and he's still so strong. See how he pulls his front arm in, and he's still able to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Strike 1 to Jason Worth. 24 home runs for Worth
They always try to pitch him inside, but if you make mistakes, then you have to pay for them.
He had gone 57 at-bats in a row without a home run, which is an eternity for Ryan Howard, because he has been the most prolific home run hitter in the majors since he arrived in the majors.
He can make up for that lost time, though, rather quickly. And I'm talking to Charlie Manuel. That's what he said is, look, we haven't gotten it going here of late. A lot of guys are struggling, but he still thinks it's Victorino and Jimmy Rollins to get it going. But the middle of this lineup, 3, 4, and 5, has struggled against the Braves this year. Under 200 batting average, as the Braves have had the upper hand, winning 8 of the 11 games.
And a slider back to the screen, 0-2.
One of the things that Peter Pasquarelli always reminds us of is that it depends on when you're playing someone. You know, we saw the Yankees lose 8 in a row to the Red Sox. Then they turn around and win 4 in a row. And Howard hasn't been swinging the bat well against the Braves, but guess what? He can turn around when he's swinging it well and destroy a pitching staff.
That is strike 3 in the dirt, and McCann throws out Worth. One away, so Worth chasing a bad ball there against Javier Vazquez. That ball just barely made it in over that wall out there.
That's pretty
maybe
deep
inches
area.
to spare.
That's pretty deep area, though, John. Especially with the air being a little heavy after the rain. I think the ball's not going to carry as well as it normally does here in Atlanta.
And this is not a home run ballpark. The Braves have given up fewer home runs than any other team in the National League. Here is Ibanez, and a fastball for a called strike. When they first moved over here from the old Fulton County Stadium, which nickname was the launching pad, the hitters at that time, a lot of them, the home run hitters, were complaining about this yard after getting used to things at the launching pad. Braves had only allowed 30 home runs here in 57 games before tonight.
Well, you see, Ibanez, he has been struggling as well for his last 27.
Raul Ibanez, even with his current struggles, having a big year. 27 homers, 78 batted in. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count.
Well, it is because of those struggles, though, that Charlie Manuel ended up inserting Jason Worth in front of Ibanez. A lot of times this season he's had Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and Ibanez 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup, but he wanted to go with Worth in between to try to break up his left-handers. Well, the other thing that Charlie Manuel mentioned is that the Braves have 3 left-handers in their bullpen. And he said that if you get runs early, Bobby Cox likes to go to his left-handers early, and he'll bring them in just for an inning to face Utley and Howard and Ibanez. So he wanted to break up his 3 lefties because of the depth of the bullpen of the Atlanta Braves.
I think any team that plays the Phillies should always do that. Hold their left-handers for those guys late in the ballgame if you have to, but if you have several, obviously you can use them sooner.
Changeup for Vazquez and a strikeout. 2 strikeouts in a row. He's second in the league in striking people out. Bobby Cox, 24th season at the helm for the Atlanta Braves. 14 division titles, which occurred in 14 years consecutively. 5 National League pennants. Pedro Feliz and a fastball for a called strike. You know, I thought when Feliz went to Philly, because he always hit 20 home runs plus in San Francisco 4 straight years. A smaller ballpark in Philly, I thought he'd be 25, 30 home runs a year while providing strong defense. But so far, Feliz this year has 9 home runs, hitting .285. Maybe just a different kind of a hitter now. He's still a strong defensive player. Now he's an average hitter, low home run total.
I think part of the issue for him is he's had some back problems, and I think that Joe, with a hitter with back problems, it does take away that ability to drive the ball some.
Well, he's definitely had injuries ever since he, went to Philadelphia. He's struggled with injuries. He never gets to play 150 games anymore.
That is a foul ball off to the right as LaRoche comes over, but it is into the crowd. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But with he and Jimmy Rollins on that left side, I really think they're excellent defensively on that side. I was looking, Jimmy Rollins hasn't made an error in his last 63 ball games, which is difficult for a shortstop because you have to catch the ball clean at shortstop. You can't knock it down, pick it up, and throw someone out.
1-0. The Phillies are ahead of the Ryan Howard home run. Chipper Jones just got him to end the inning. But Ryan Howard with the Phillies' favorite weapon, the big fly. And he launched one here to start off the inning on a fastball that got a little bit too much of home plate from Vazquez. And the Phillies have a 1-0 lead as Jay Happ will head back out to face Matt Diaz and then Adam LaRoche. At Dodger Stadium. Then on Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Smirnoff Ice, it'll be the Red Sox in Toronto against the Blue Jays. Roy Halladay will be on the mound for the Jays that night at 7 Eastern. That will not be shown in the Boston market. ESPN News will be shown in the Boston market for that game. Here we are in Atlanta. Sunday Night Baseball, and a foul by Matt Diaz. First ball swinging against Jay Happ. 1-0. The Phillies are in the lead here. Jay Happ, 8 wins, 2 losses in 15 starts. He joined the rotation May the 23rd. Remember, Chonho Park had been acquired in the offseason, and they had him starting when the season began. Pedro Feliz, and one away. But Happ has done a great job since joining that rotation. And when the season started, the rotation looked a little bit different than it looks now. Hamels and Blanton are still in there, but Moyer, Myers, and Park are no longer in the rotation. Myers is on the disabled list. Now it's Hamels, Blanton, Cliff Lee, the great acquisition from Cleveland. Pedro Martinez, another former Cy Young winner, made his debut Wednesday. It was a win at Wrigley Field. And then Jay Happ. And a fastball for a strike to Adam LaRoche. LaRoche was not originally in the lineup. Martin Prado was going to play first base. A right-handed hitter. Prado, who left the game yesterday with some dizziness, which they thought was caused by the heat, some heat dehydration, that sort of thing. But tonight he was in the original lineup, and Prado was still having some dizziness problems, so they were going to do more tests on Prado to see what the story is. That ball is shot right to Howard. LaRoche, the left-hander against the left-hander, drilled one, but into some bad luck. 2 down.
One thing Jay Happ does is he throws strikes. He goes right at hitters, and I think that's one of the reasons why he has success with runners in scoring position. Is he doesn't act like he's ever in trouble. He stays the aggressor on the mound. And Braves hitters talked about trying to get him early in the count when he's throwing that fastball, although the opposition only hitting .237 against his fastball this year.
Now Ryan Church. Church is only in there because Nate McLouth has a hamstring problem. He's the regular center fielder. Church has been a platoon right fielder going against the right-handed pitchers, while Matt Diaz goes against the lefties. And Church is only hitting .206 against left-handed pitching. So the Braves are banged up right now. Missing McLeod. Prado they were hoping would be in there, and he's unable to go. And that fastball is a little bit low. And Jay Happ has only allowed 2 home runs to left-handed hitters all season. Although each were hit by Atlanta players, neither one of which is with Atlanta right now. Jordan Schaefer back in the minors, and Casey Kochman now with the Red Sox. And that's a walk for Church with 2 down, and the pitcher coming up.
That's a big walk right there. Is what it does is it allows the Atlanta Braves to clear Javier Vazquez. There's Pedro Martinez looking on, and we saw his name on the list of the new starting pitchers, along with Cole Hamels, the hero from last year's playoff and World Series run.
I still believe that there's Moyer, who went to the bullpen so that Pedro could start. I still believe that Hamels is going to get his act together and pitch well for them down the stretch.
Javier Vazquez takes a cold strike. Vazquez hitting .156, 7 hits, 45 at bats, 3 doubles. He actually was used as a pinch hitter yesterday in a bunting situation, and he laid down a sacrifice bunt. And he has been outstanding at that. He leads the majors with 14 sacrifice bunts successfully executed, and a career batting average above 200. Oh, it's caught by Phillies. Man, he hit a lightning bolt there. And a couple of line drives right at him in this inning for the Braves. 1-0 Philly. We go to the 3rd.
And One-A-Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men.
Now to the 3rd inning from Turner Field, Atlanta. A rain delay of 1 hour and 37 minutes before we were able to get started, at 14 minutes before 10 o'clock Eastern time. Here is Carlos Ruiz. He'll be followed by Jay Happ, and the leadoff man, Jimmy Rollins. Vazquez misses off the outside for a ball. Javier Vazquez, as well as he has pitched this year, you might be puzzled by his 1-loss record. His 1-loss record is not bad, but not great either. He's 10-7. But one thing that has happened, he's left 4 games as a winning pitcher where the bullpen was not able to to hold on to those more than any other Atlanta starter. Vazquez with a called strike on the outside. And he had been with the White Sox. He wasn't having this kind of success with the White Sox. In fact, his manager, Ozzie Guillen, kind of got on his case late last year. That's a comebacker handled by Vazquez. One away.
I agree with John. And tell you what, I don't care who the pitcher is. If your manager calls you out like that, puts extra pressure on you.
But at the same time, they were counting on him big time, and he really was not delivering for them last year.
You see that 10th pitcher in Major League history with 10+ wins in 10 consecutive seasons, 150+ strikeouts, and 8 of those 10 are in the Hall of Fame. The 9th is Roger Clemens, the 10th Javier Vazquez.
Nice pickup there by LaRoche. Jay Happ is promptly retired. 2 down. Started with the Montreal Expos in the late 1990s when the Expos were not a very good team. Then to the Yankees 2004 and did not pitch up to expectations there. And then with the Diamondbacks, one season and had a very poor year there. Demanded a trade at the end of that year and then went to the White Sox. Ended up 2 games over 500, but that ERA stayed very high, and it's been very high everywhere he's been since he left Montreal until now that he's come to Atlanta.
Watch a pitcher with his stuff and you wonder how he can be with his 5th different team, but well, his wins and losses are not commensurate with the quality of his stuff. He's got the 2nd most swings and misses of any pitcher in the major leagues, 2nd in strikeouts in the National League. So the stuff is there, but it just hasn't won. I think it just has not been comfortable in a location or the environment that he's been in, whether it's the city, whether it's the manager or the environment with the team.
Jimmy Rollins. There is Church, and that's an 8-pitch inning for Vazquez. Now, coming up after the break, Steve Berthume will be in the studio, and he will update the race in the National League Wild Card Division. 1-0 Phillies. And they're trying to project themselves more seriously into that Eastern Division conversation. At the moment, 5 games back of first place Philadelphia, but with a win tonight, only 4 out. And that's such a big difference. If they lose, they're 6 out. If they win, they're 4 out. And we're getting that time of year where that's a huge difference.
Well, they made a big jump last night by winning last night's ball game, because they would have lost the first 2 games of this series and would have had a chance almost to be buried if they were to lose tonight. So winning yesterday's ball game was a big win for the Braves.
Florida split its doubleheader with Colorado today. 4 games back of the Phillies at the moment, and a game ahead of the Atlanta Braves. And there's ball 3 to Omar Infante. Infante, the leadoff man. Garrett Anderson and Chipper Jones to follow. Infante, 27 years old, and he has been a big bat for the Braves this year. Utility infielder, but he can play all over. And right now, if you hit, Bobby Cox is going to find a spot for you.
Well, that's right. They struggled to score runs early on, so they were looking for the hot bats. And if you're a utility man, you can play every day for Bobby Cox with a hot bat. He'll find a spot in the lineup for you.
Today, Martin Prado, who pretty much has become the everyday second baseman, as Kelly Johnson was not hitting earlier this year. They finally sent him back to the minors, and Prado took over and hit. Bobby Cox never said, well, he's our regular second baseman from now on. He said, well, yeah, he's hitting, and he's the second baseman. Kelly Johnson is back now, but today Prado would have been the first baseman because of the left-hander Happ, and he is real tough on left-handed hitters, such as Garrett Anderson, who was hit by a pitch his first time, fouling one off the left field line, and it's strike 2 to Garrett Anderson. Chipper Jones on deck.
Joe, let me ask you this. In your career, you were hit 40 times by a pitch. Garrett Anderson, only his 7th career hit by pitch in the first inning in his career, for 29,000 pitches seen. I mean, does that mean that he just doesn't dive in over the plate? Why is he not a guy that gets hit at all? There's no pound him inside?
Well, I guess he knows how to get out of the way. I don't know.
Which we were talking about that earlier. Yeah. We've seen so many bean balls.
Yeah, guys do not. They're diving in so much now.
Nobody gets out of the way anymore, it seems.
Yeah, definitely.
So you let pitchers hit you 40 times?
40 times.
I'm not sure of that.
We checked the numbers. I had to run the numbers. 40 times.
Yeah. I can't believe it.
Well, I know one thing. None of those were in the head. I tell you what, I didn't get hit in the head.
Not ever.
Never got hit in the head.
We've seen so many of those over the last few days in Major League Baseball.
Guys are not able to react to the ball towards their head. They end up just turning into it. Whereas you saw the great Willie Mays, those guys would go down.
Nice pickup by Utley. Rollins gets one. Back to first. Not in time. And that's some slick defense right there to even come close to a double play, as far as Utley had to go after that ball.
It was really a kind of a slow developing play because he had to play the hop. So he couldn't charge it. So he can't charge it. He goes back to get it on the short hop. And that allows Garrett Anderson enough time to get the first, but a quick turn at second by Rollins. Now see, watch, he goes back. You normally try to charge the ball on a double play, but he had to go back so he could get the good hop. And that allowed Garrett Anderson to beat it out.
So now Chipper Jones, 1 out. Chipper lined out to left center his first time. Then this could be 2. Phillies to Utley. Utley to Howard. Inning over. Well, he gave up a leadoff walk and then got 2 double play balls in a row. To the 4th inning. Victorino, Utley, Howard coming up. Phillies lead. National League East and the first place Phillies from the same division. Rubber match of a 3-game series. Ryan Howard hit a home run, and Howard is meditating.
Yeah.
Visualizing.
He is the third hitter due up in this inning. What do you think he's doing?
Well, I think he's trying to. He said last time I hit it 4+, maybe I can get this one 450. I think that's what he's doing.
He looks mad.
Well, he only hit it 400. John said it. John, he's mad at John. John called it a wall scraper.
He did kind of say that.
Yeah.
I never used the term wall scraper.
Yeah,
well,
but
you use something similar.
Yeah, that's kind of what you meant.
Yeah.
Wall scraper. I've never used that term. I don't like the sound of it either.
Oh, okay.
But it's a pretty good one. You can use it if you want.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think he likes it either.
Out of play by Victorino, who hit a double into the right field area his first time. Actually hit a ground ball that hit the first base bag. That's how it got into the right field area. So he is 1 for 1. Utley and Howard to follow. So you get into the Phillies' power and you stay in it for a while, because Victorino can take one out too. He's not as prolific as the other 4 guys, Utley, Howard, Worth, and Ibanez, the next 4 hitters. But he's got some pop. And so does Rollins.
Definitely. They're all their first 5 or 6 guys. But 4 of those guys have 24 or more home runs. The next 4 after Victorino.
And a foul that will come back out of play. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Victorino, facing Javier Vazquez, who's had a couple of real quick innings in this game. A 5-pitch first and an 8-pitch third. But he also gave up the home run to Ryan Howard. And only 34 pitches total for him. Phillies have hit 28 more home runs than any other team in the league. And again, a foul ball. Get back out of play. Back in that first inning, Victorino hit this one hopper that hit the bag and over LaRoche's head for a double. And then the next hitter, Utley, line drive. And the tag out at second base by Escobar to double him up. And that was the end of the inning. Struck him out. Third strikeout for Vazquez. And here's Steve Berthiaume in the studio with the Sports Center right now. And the called strike to Chase Utley from Javier Vazquez.
And what about the Mets, John? They've got their 4 best players all on the disabled list. That's unbelievable. I don't know if I've ever seen any team decimated like the Mets have been, as far as just their best players.
One thing that was interesting is David Wright hitting the head, concussion, spent the night in the hospital. Well, they placed him on the disabled list today. Well, Ryan Church, remember, he was a Met last year, had 2 concussions, 1 in spring training, then 1 here in Atlanta, where he went in and collided to break up a double play, hitting Yunel Escobar's knee. And he tried to play through his concussions and really had some problems with it, had some setbacks. So he thought it was interesting that the Mets immediately put Wright on the DL.
Well, I think we learned from your mistakes.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
You're more cautious the second time around, I would think.
Ryan Church tried to play through it. You see the numbers certainly impacted him, and he said that he thinks the Mets learned something from it, and he did as well. That if he had had 1 more concussions, doctors were telling him he wasn't just jeopardizing his playing career, he's jeopardizing some more serious issues.
Strike 2 called to Chase Utley. Batting with 1 down and nobody on. Well, there's so much more research that has been done now on concussions and what happens short term and what happens long term, that I think there is a feeling now to be much more cautious when there's a concussion. And that is strike 3, the changeup to get Utley. And there's a lot of swinging and missing going on tonight, as usual, with Vazquez on the hill.
Well, he has shown 2 different pitches here. The high fastball he struck Victorino out with, and he comes back to changeup and Chase Utley way out in front. And watch how Utley swings at this. He loses his control, his balance, everything. Watch, he ends up falling out on 1 foot there. No chance on this pitch. Sees way out in front. Excellent changeup from Vazquez.
Ryan Howard, who hit the home run. You see that? More than a quarter of the pitches Vazquez has thrown this year have been swung at and missed.
There's another one, that high fastball. They tried to pitch Howard inside the first time up, and it got out over the plate. And this time they tried to go away with the first pitch, but it was just up and over the plate.
I think that percentage is going up tonight. The curveball is too low. 1 ball, 1 strike. This is that pitch you're talking about, Joe. That if you're going to go inside to Howard, you better get it inside.
Well, watch where the catcher is set up in there, and they throw it. Gets a lot of the plate. And he still didn't get all of that, John, so maybe you're right. Maybe it was a wall scraper on the way down.
No, but you know what? When you see that, I realize the error of my assessment.
Okay.
And now of your assessment. Because that's the second wall.
I know, John. I've been covering for you for 19 years.
So. It only has to clear the first wall.
Thank you.
That second wall.
I'm going to stay out of this.
It's already several feet beyond the wall by the time it just cleared that second wall.
It was 399 feet.
That curveball is in for a strike. It's 2-2. You call this a wall scraper?
Well, you
way over the wall. Look how many feet behind the wall.
Well, it scraped the wall, guys. It just happened to scrape the back wall and not the front wall.
The shot. I'm so much more impressed now. 2-2 to Howard.
Change up.
3-2.
Well, Javier Vazquez gets a lot of strikeouts and swings and misses because he has that fastball. He can throw at 93, and then the different velocities. His changeup in the high 70s, the 80 miles per hour, the big looping curveball that he can change speeds on as well, a slider in the low 80s, a lot of different ranges and locations and movements to be able to stay on all the different pitches.
We got the shift on for Howard as he asks for timeout and backs away. You see the third baseman, Chipper Jones, is now the shortstop. The shortstop Escobar is over on the right side, and the second baseman, Infante, is in right field. And he walked him. Well, that fastball, he got in and missed off the inside corner.
Well, if you're going to miss, you want to miss inside rather than miss back out over the plate with Ryan Howard. See, what happens with a guy like Vazquez who has so many different pitches. On the fastball, you have to be quick. On the curveball, you have to wait. On the slider, you have to wait and be quick. And on the changeup, you have to recognize it out of his hand and then attack it. So that's why it's so difficult to handle all the pitches that he throws.
Now Jason Worth, who struck out his first time, 4 strikeouts for Vazquez in 3 2/3 innings. And a curveball in there for a called strike. Howard, not a threat.
Well, I don't know now.
To steal most times.
Yeah, most times. All right, but he will on occasion.
He does have 5 steals this year in 5 attempts.
That's what I mean. He will on occasion.
It's in 114 previous games.
He picks his spots. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. And they're semi-playing behind him here.
Play behind him. You got a pitcher who throws a lot of off-speed pitches, a lot of breaking balls that might be able to pick one in the dirt.
5 of his 7 career steals have occurred this year. And he is sleeker than we saw him last year, the year before.
The one thing you have to be careful with, though, is big guys stealing bases and having to slide, having to hit the ground, etc. I mean, you don't want to risk Ryan Howard hurting himself trying to steal one base because he's going to hit a lot of big flies for you.
2-1 the count. And the slider is off the outside. He was swinging at that slider the first time, 2 different pitches, including strike 3. He takes it this time. 3-1 is the count. So if you're Howard's manager, you tell him, go ahead and steal, but only if you can do it standing up.
No, I would only do it if we're in an extra inning ball game or where we have to have it.
Wow. Got a fastball right in there. What did he talk himself out of swinging at a pitch to hit there? 3-2.
He's a very patient hitter as it is. He sees the highest number of pitches per plate appearance of any hitter in the major league. So he's not shy about taking a 3-1 pitch, thinking he's still going to get a quality pitch on 3-2.
There goes the runner, Howard. Escobar. And that's all for Worth.
Howard had to duck at second base there.
He was already there standing up. We go to the last of the fourth inning. McCann, the cleanup hitter, coming up. Then Escobar for the Braves, trailing 1-0. That'll be tomorrow night as Staten Island, New York takes on Bernardsville, New Jersey, and I apologize if I mispronounced that, in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Final. The Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Reduced Sugar on ESPN2 tomorrow night at 8 Eastern.
Glad they reduced that sugar, John. I used to love those when I was a kid.
They're good, huh?
Yeah, but then I had to stop eating them.
Because they were great. Yeah. That's what Tony the Tiger used to tell us. So it's Bernardsville, New Jersey.
Bernardsville, okay.
Yeah. Here is Brian McCann, who doubled his first time. First ball swinging. Howard bobbles it. But there, see a shortstop? That would have been an error. That's what you were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
And the putout for Jay Happ, the pitcher, and McCann going on one pitch.
John, we're talking about the different speeds that Vazquez uses. I think when he gets ahead of the hitters, that high fastball is just almost unhittable. Here he goes with 2 strikes to Shane Victorino, who's a good fastball hitter. Can't handle it. Then he chased Utley, who is a good fastball hitter. He throws him a changeup. And I thought it was out of the strike zone, but you can see it was a strike, but a beautiful pitch there from Vazquez. And neither one of those guys had a chance on either swing.
And that look at from K-Zone brought to you by Ford. Javier Vazquez, 53 pitches through 4 innings. And a first pitch strike from Happ to Escobar. Escobar had a chance to put the Braves ahead with 2 down and runners at second and third in the first inning, but Happ struck him out. So he is 0 for 1 in the game. And a check swing. And appeal ruled a swing by Dana DeMuth, the crew chief and the first base umpire.
Well, Happ got Escobar to strike out with runners at scrumptious on that high fastball and got him again there. That pitch, that higher than high fastball that looks so good, but difficult to catch up with.
And the high hard one. He's gotten him twice with that pitch.
Well, he got him again, and he kept saying, well, look, you're chasing that one. You checked your swing on one. Let me climb the ladder and go a little bit higher for you. And one of the keys you want to do is try to change a hitter's eye level. So he starts him off down low. Escobar looking for a breaking ball, and he comes up in the zone. He checks the swing, then gets him to chase the one up in the zone. That high fastball.
That's way out of the zone. So Happ getting it done with an economy of pitches as well as Matt Diaz shows. But now Diaz had one of the most amazing bunts, at least in terms of the results of it. Usually you put the bunt down, they field it, they throw you out at first and move the runner up. That's all he was trying to do. But it was a monumental sacrifice bunt here yesterday. That ball is hit well. Worth going way back there. It's gone. An opposite field homer to the right of the 390 marker by Diaz to tie the game.
How can you ask him to bunt? Let him go big fly. And this is not an easy pitch to hit the right center. The ball's on the inner half of the plate. Looked like it was inside out of the ball to right field. Here's the target. Well, it's pretty much in the middle of the plate. But because hitters do dive in, see, it looked like he was kind of late on that ball, but he really wasn't. And he drives it to right center field. And maybe this isn't as big a ballpark as we thought.
Well, that is quite often a graveyard out there.
390 something.
And that's a spot where a lot of would-be home runs die. But there's Diaz, and to the opposite field, no less. As Adam LaRoche, who's been hitting the home runs, he's been getting walks. Came into this game with a 400 average with the Braves. 3 homers in 12 games and a 500 on base average. A big curveball. He smacked one his first time tonight, but right at Ryan Howard, a line drive out. They've hit some balls hard against Jay Happ.
Well, in the second inning, they had 2 lineouts, one to Howard and one to third base.
Well, LaRoche hit one to Howard, and Vazquez clobbered one to Phillies at third.
Actually, Matt Diaz, we talk a lot about situational left-handers out of the bullpen. Well, Matt Diaz is a situational right-handed hitter. He pounds left-handers. He's always been a guy who's crushed left-handed pitching, hitting .358 this year, only hitting .230 against right-handers. So he is that opposite arm hitter, that specialist from the offensive side.
But he wasn't hitting a lot of home runs. That was his second, I guess, third home run against
not a lot, but he went down on this one and just absolutely drives it, looking for that ball down in the zone. Swinging hard at it. Good low ball hitter, good low ball swing right there. That's outstanding way to stay on that ball down in the zone.
LaRoche fouled down the left field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 down and a run in here in the 4th inning. A 1-1 tie. Adam LaRoche, a Brave, and he had his best year with the Braves, and he got traded after that year to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Braves had need for a closer, and they brought in Mike Gonzalez as part of that trade. And then the Pirates traded him to the Boston Red Sox, and he was a Red Sox for what, a week? And then the Braves picked him up. Way up there, Ruiz runs out of room. It's into the crowd by the Phillies dugout. 2 balls, 2 strikes to LaRoche. LaRoche, 12 games, 3 homers, 7 batted in. Better than 500 on base average. While he was with the Red Sox in the American League for 6 games, he managed to hit 1 homer and had a couple of doubles. Frank Wren was trying to address needs for the Braves, and most of them involved the lineup. That ball is hit into left field, but Ibanez has plenty of room. Matt Diaz with a game-tying homer, an impressive homer to the opposite field. Ibanez will be coming up for the Phillies. Although this year, they've taken a sort of a different route to the top. The last 2 years, they did not do it early. They were 500 at the break in 2007. Played real well in the second half, especially down the stretch, and it helped that the Mets collapsed the last 2.5 weeks of that season. Then last year, the Phillies were better in the first half, and better still after the All-Star break. And they finally got the division lead in late September. This year they've been in first place since the end of May. There is a first pitch strike from Vazquez to Ibanez, a slider in there. Ibanez struck out his first time. 1-1 is the score. So can the Phillies, can they handle this kind of prosperity? As Ibanez fouls one away and the count is 0-2, because they were not an odds-on favorite to win either of the last 2 years, especially as the season was unfolding, but they got hot at the right time in each of those years.
Sometimes it's easier to chase someone, as long as you don't run out of games, of course. But when you're chasing someone, you realize every day I have to play well. I have to continue to play well. And then every once in a while, if you're in front, you have a tendency to relax every once in a while. Right after the break, the Phillies played so well. They had this lead, and then it seemed like they started to coast a little bit. So I think I've actually been in both situations. When you're chasing someone, I think the intensity level stays higher on every pitch, every game that you play. Whereas sometimes when you get ahead, I do believe you relax a little bit. So it is a different feeling for him this year.
There's that changeup and another strikeout, the 5th of the game for Javier Vazquez, and Ibanez twice has gone down on strikes.
And I think that's what Charlie Manuel tried to address a couple of times. I think he felt like they were too casual about it. They just thought it was going to happen because they've been able to go catch the Mets every year. They thought, well, we'll just relax and when we'll turn it on. And you can't do that in this game. This is a funny game. You cannot ring a bell and say, okay, now we're going to get going.
Here's Phillies, who grounded out to third his first time, and the curveball is a called strike. Well, they had gotten hot when Jimmy Rollins got hot,
right,
just before the All-Star break. And I think around the country, a lot of people were already punching them in for October. Well, they've got it all wrapped up. But then going into last Sunday, they had lost, 8 out of 11.
Right. And
Charlie had a little team meeting and kind of dressed him down, apparently, for a play that he thought was not at 100% efficiency. And then they won 4 in a row after that.
Well, it just tells you that they're good, but like I said, sometimes you relax a little bit, and you need Charlie or the manager to say, hey, guys, or some player on the team. Someone has to say, hey, we can't play like this. We have to wake up. Let's go. And usually they will pick it up again.
1 out, nobody on. Pedro Feliz grounded out his first time, facing Vazquez here. And a flare into right field for a base hit. That's Diaz to pick it up. And Feliz will hold it first with a single.
But, one of the things I think that when you're a team in first place, a lot of times there's a thought that, hey, you know what, things are going right for us. Let's not mess up the chemistry. And I've always thought that was a mistake. Atlanta here for the longest time always had a great run. They were always going to the playoffs, always winning the division. There were a lot of times at the trade deadline they thought, well, let's just stand pat. I like what the Phillies did. They improved. And I think that when you're in first place, if you make moves to get better, then I think it keeps the momentum moving forward, keeps the focus forward. I think that if you don't get better and everybody else does, I think there's that feeling that you're getting worse, that you're going backwards. If there's that feeling or imagery that you form about where you are as a team and how it feels. And I think improvement at the deadline, either before the waiver period or during the waiver period, is critical to a first place team.
Well, the Phillies certainly did something major. They may have made the top acquisition of any team, getting Cliff Lee, the Cy Young winner in the American League last year. And that was a need. They were a little short on pitching, it seemed, although they were in first place, where they're really relying a lot on their offense to get there. Cliff Lee has won 3 in a row, 3 beautiful games in a row. And then Pedro Martinez has also been added to the staff. He made his debut on Wednesday at Wrigley Field. This one is hit rather softly. They get 1 at second. Escobar back to first. Too late to double up Ruiz. So Feliz out at second. 2 down, and the pitcher Happ is coming up. Lee 3-0 with a 1.13 earned run average. And it's not often that I think there's been a midseason acquisition who has looked as great taking the mound for his new team as Lee has looked for the Phillies.
Well, you know what? There's something special about taking a guy who's had success in the American League and bringing him to the National League. You know, there's not that question mark where a lot of times you trade in the American League, you trade for a National League pitcher. You don't know how he's going to handle the DH in those more powerful lineups.
Jay Happ, the hitter, takes a called strike.
Well, one thing I like Pedro. I like Pedro because he's a winner. He knows how to win. And when I watched him on Wednesday, he was up around 90, 91 miles an hour with some fastball. And if he can throw that hard, he can win because his changeup and his curveball are just great pitches. They're such great all-speed pitches.
And they're not asking him to be the ace.
Exactly.
Go out, give him 5 or 6, and they'll be thrilled with it.
Well, I think they want more than 5, but you're right, though. That's what they got.
Go out, give him 5 1/3.
Yeah, all right.
You asked for it, Joe. John gave it to
Hey,
you.
we don't want to. I don't think they want a 5 and fly, but you're definitely right. He can add something. But again, he knows how to win. I think that's something that we overlook sometimes. A lot of pitchers may have great stuff, but they don't know how to win. He knows how to win. I mean, look at these pitches that he's making. I mean, that's big time Pedro right there.
Now, he did allow 3 runs.
I think he ran out of gas
in 5 innings as Happ right back to Vazquez, and the inning is over. 1 hit, 1 left for the Phillies. 1-1 the score. Happ will go back to the hill for the last of the 5th. Church, Vazquez, and then leadoff man Infante coming up for Atlanta. Place Cardinals up against Manny Ramirez, and the first place Los Angeles Dodgers. Then on Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Smirnoff Ice, the Red Sox up in Canada to take on the Blue Jays at 7 Eastern. ESPN News will be shown in the Boston market. Steve, you'll be in L.A. tomorrow. You're in Atlanta tonight. You'll be in L.A. tomorrow night.
I will. Chris Carpenter pitching for the Cardinals in that one, and Chad Billingsley was supposed to be Monday, pushed to Tuesday. Charlie Hager, the knuckleballer, on the hill. So, be an interesting game there.
Now, the Dodgers are a team whose name has been published as being a team interested in maybe acquiring the former Brave, John Smoltz.
There's some thought that Joe Torre likes veteran players, and John Smoltz certainly fits into that category. And, you know, Smoltz, one thing he can do, he can still get right-handed hitters out. He struggled against the left-handers, though.
There's a lot of talk that other teams that are interested in Smoltz are interested more in him as a relief pitcher.
Well, that's what I see him doing, because he started the games off so okay, but the more times you go through the lineup and they had a chance to see him is when he really struggled.
Ryan Church, the hitter, against Jay Happ. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Church walked his first time. The National League West, the Dodgers, and they've had some rough sailing here lately. Now, with their victory today and the split of the doubleheader by Colorado, a 5-game lead in the West, 6.5 over the Giants, who lost at Citi Field in New York this afternoon. 2-1 the count to Church.
It may not seem like a lot, but that 6-game lead is a lot. That's a big lead. 5-game lead is a lot. That's a big lead.
Especially the Rockies have not done well against the Dodgers. Troy Tulowitzki, who has been a key man in their resurgence this year, he's been spectacular, except facing the Dodgers. He just can't get a hit against LA.
Obviously, they know how to pitch him, right? No, he has struggled against the Dodgers.
Well, how about the Dodgers' Hiroki Kuroda, their pitcher, got hit with a line drive off his head. He spent the night in the hospital as well. So we talked about David Wright getting hit with a pitch.
Tulowitzki 4 for 45 against the Dodgers this year. A .089 batting average against them. 2-2 the count. So Church battling it out here with the pitcher Vazquez on deck, and then the top of the order to follow. And the ground ball handled by Howard. He'll take it himself, and there is one away. That's Ryan Howard of the Philadelphia Phillies, the first place Phillies, up against the third place Atlanta Braves. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Atlanta. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips from Turner Field. This is the rubber match of this series. The Phillies are 5 games ahead of the third place Braves, so a very big game for the Braves if they're going to insinuate themselves in this divisional race and not merely be satisfied with a shot in the wild card division in the National League. This is a very big game. If they win, they'll be 4 games out. If they lose, they'll be 6 games out. They got a home run from Matt Diaz to tie the game in the 4th inning after Ryan Howard launched one to deep right center back in the 2nd inning. So the 2 teams have exchanged home runs. Jay Happ, the rookie left-hander, has been one of the best rookie pitchers in baseball this year. And other than the home run by Diaz, he has handled the Braves capably. And Javier Vazquez, the veteran, who's had a renaissance this year with the Atlanta Braves. He seems to have finally found a home here in Atlanta. One of the top pitchers in the National League this year. 1-1 the score as we play the last of the 5th. And this is Vazquez, who lined one hard right to Pedro Feliz his first time. Now Jimmy Rollins, out number 2.
I think one of the things with this very close game right here is we're getting deeper into the game, and you have to start thinking about bullpens and how that plays out if you have to hit from one of your pitchers. But, you know, both these teams have question marks now at the end of the game. Rafael Soriano, the Braves closer, obviously has struggled of late, and Brad Lidge, his 8th blown save yesterday, most in the major leagues, an ERA over 7. So the 9th inning, a question mark for both of these teams as we move 1-1 later in the game.
Well, they both have 16 blown saves this year, so both teams are, looking to make it, they'll be more consistent in that area.
Last year the Phillies, on their way to winning the World Series, never lost a game that they led going into the 9th inning. Not one time the whole year, which is remarkable. Brad Lidge was the closer, and he never blew a save. But they have lost 7 games in which they had a lead going into the 9th inning already this year, the most of any team in the major leagues. That is a huge figure, whether you've got a great closer or not. And Brad Lidge, with a 7.27 ERA this year, spent some time in the disabled list. 22 saves, 8 blown saves, the most blown saves by any closer in the majors.
Well, he had a bad knee, earlier in the year, and he tried to pitch through it, and obviously it didn't work, so he went on the disabled list for a while. But the one thing to remember, last year he was perfect, but that's not normal. I mean, everything went right for the Phillies, everything went right for Lidge last year, and all the things that went right last year, they're going wrong now. Every little play now seems to cost Lidge a save. And I mean, last night, for instance, Chase Utley on the ground ball that started the ninth inning. I thought he should have caught the ball. Now let's take a look. Here's Garrett Anderson. I mean, that ball should have been caught right there, and it should be 1 out. So he's running away from the ball. He didn't cut it to angle. And there you see Lidge. He's going to bobble it. That's the first error. And then he throws it down the right field line, which allows Garrett Anderson to come all the way around to score, and obviously puts the winning run in scoring position. And Fonte grounds the ball through a drawn-in infield, and the Braves win.
Garrett Anderson has been hit by a pitch and is hit into a force play. You know, looking at that replay of that bunt, Matt Diaz is the man who bunted that ball, and he really hustled up the first base line and put a little heat on Lidge, although I think Lidge maybe had a little more time than he realized, but it looked to me like he tried to barehand that ball.
Well, he definitely had more time, but again, those are the things that happens to you, you know, in the course of a ball game. He's been struggling. He's trying to do too much too quickly right there on that bunt.
One of the questions Charlie Manuel has been getting asked now from the Philadelphia media is, what are you going to do about your closer? And Charlie has not been willing to even consider any option other than Brad Lidge. He keeps saying Brad Lidge is my closer, and they keep finding different ways to ask him the question, coming up with hypotheticals, and the answer is always the same: Brad Lidge is my closer.
Chase Utley, no problems fielding this ground ball from Garrett Anderson to end the inning. Chipper Jones stranded on deck. Top of the order, Rollins, Victorino, then the power, Utley, 1-1.
Book.com. The moment you need it, Yellow Book it.
Now the 6th inning, and the top of the order for the Phillies in a 1-1 tie. Jimmy Rollins leading off against Javier Vazquez. And the curveball in there for a called strike. Rollins has flied out twice in this game, and whatever the reason, he cannot buy a hit against Atlanta pitching this year. Until just now. That is his 6th hit in 50 at-bats against the Braves this year. That raised his average against Atlanta pitching to 120.
We're talking about Brad Lidge, John, in the play last night with Chase Utley. I'm going to show you the angles. And when you play deep on the outfield grass, as a lot of second basemen do for left-handed hitters who don't run well. Now watch, here's the ball. It's going to go through here. Instead of cutting it off here, he runs back here, and the ball continues to go away from him. See, he's going backwards. Look at that. See how deep he is on the grass? He starts about a foot on the grass. He ends up about 5 feet on the grass. Should have cut that ball off last night.
There's a called strike to Shane Victorino, who has doubled off the first base bag and has struck out against Vazquez.
And those are the things that happen, to Lidge or, your team. Last year, everything went well. This year, some of those things are not going so well. If that was Lidge last year, Dudley would have caught it, and he probably would have had a save.
That pitch, by the way, was called a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, Jimmy Rollins can steal bases, and the Phillies have not done a whole lot so far against Vazquez. You've got a guy who handles the bat well at the plate. Victorino, do you see a steal coming up here?
Well, what you do here is you try to pick a pitch where you think he might go off speed. Otherwise, you in this situation, Victorino should be looking for a fastball, try to pull it in the hole. But if you're Rollins and you're a good base stealer, which he is, you should be trying to get a jump on every pitch, and if you get the jump you want, just take off.
23 steals. Well, he's been caught 8 times. LaRoche on the bag with him. He got a running start, then stopped. But the count now is 2-0 to Victorino.
Jimmy Rollins got a running start, but because Javier Vazquez went to more of a slide step, very quick release to go to the plate, he stopped himself because he knew he didn't feel the jump as he started to break off the bag there.
Well, he's kind of leaning as well, though. He's leaning towards second base. What that does is keeps you from getting that excellent jump. If you're leaning already, that means you're going to push off your back foot. There's Davey Lopes, one of the best base stealers.
That stopwatch in his hand there.
Now, Vazquez has only allowed 1 stolen base against him in his previous 9 starts.
He definitely holds the runners, but you can steal a base off of anybody if you read them, and especially right-handers, in my opinion.
Well, now it's 3-1. This seems like a running count.
Well, it seemed like a running count when it was no balls, no strikes as well.
Well, the one thing Vazquez will do is he'll go breaking ball on the 3-1 count. A lot of pitchers feel like they don't want to walk a guy. He's got enough confidence in his breaking ball that he's willing to throw it on a 3-1 count, which could make it a good pitch to run.
Rollins is moving back to the bag as that pitch was thrown, and it's a base hit to right field, but Rollins will only get to second base.
That's just bad base running. I don't know. He wasn't ready when Vazquez got ready to deliver the ball. That's what I was talking about. Victorino's going to take the fastball, pull it in the hole there, and you should have runners first and third now. But watch Jimmy Rollins. He's going back to first base. For some reason, now he can't get to third base. He should have been able to go to first and third on that play. But as John said, I'm trying to figure out why he wasn't running anyway.
He reacted as if timeout had been taken or something. That was really bizarre. But they're still in pretty good shape. 2 men on, nobody out. And the big home run hitters are coming up. Utley, Howard, Worth, and Ibanez, the next 4 hitters due.
And when you have a chance against Vazquez, you better take advantage of it, because he could strike out the next 3 guys.
Utley is lined out into a double play and struck out. And the curveball a little bit low.
Remember, he got Utley on that changeup last time, got him out in that front leg. And the Phillies have been struggling to score runs, and you see right there, 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position, 1 for the last 17.
And they left a lot of runners yesterday. That's why, when you get a chance like that, first to third, you have obviously with no one out, you get a runner first to third, you have more chances of scoring, even if Utley was hitting to a double play.
They were 1 for 12 as a team in those clutch at bats yesterday, and a very frustrating game. I'm sure that as Atlanta came from behind with 2 runs in the 9th, the Phillies not only figuring they should have won the game since they were leading, but also that they should have scored more runs than they did and wouldn't even have been an issue by then. Brad Lidge, who really, it was the double error that really hurt him in that save opportunity yesterday. Not so much that he was making bad pitches, or that they were clobbering the ball against him. Rollins at second, Victorino at first. Very fast base runners out there with nobody out. And a called strike, that slider in there to chase Utley. And now it's a ball and 2 strikes.
A good pitch. The backdoor slider started it off the plate, just braked it onto the outside corner. Hunter Wendelstedt behind the plate making the call. And Wendelstedt is a guy that you can get to expand the strike zone a little bit. You see the success that Javier Vazquez has had over his last 4 starts.
In spots like this. Chase Utley, who has 76 RBIs this year. And he was off balance on that swing, and he manages to foul it back into the crowd to stay alive.
Jimmy Rollins made a bluff from second base as well. And a lot of times base runners forget that the hitter sees you in his vision when you take off and stop like that. Sometimes it breaks his concentration.
Escobar over behind Rollins with the left-handed hitting Utley at the plate. Utley trying to put the Phillies back on top here. Ryan Howard, the cleanup man, is on deck. Vazquez in a lot of trouble. Time is taken. Now Rollins, we mentioned how Rollins has hit so poorly against Atlanta pitching this year, and then he got the base hit here. He's only scored in 11 previous games between these two clubs. He's only scored 1 run, and that's his job. That's his game. Get on base, get the offense rolling, score runs. Only 1 run scored for him against Atlanta this year. And there's that changeup again for the strikeout.
Over the last couple of years, when I've watched Chase Utley, that pitch bothers him more than any other pitch. The changeups, especially when they're out over the plate, he does not handle that changeup well. And that pitch is well off the plate. You can't hit that. I don't care who you are, you can't hit that pitch. You have to take that pitch, but he was off balance, so he chases it. But I've seen him do that a lot against changeups the last couple of years.
We got that first look from K-Zone, brought to you by Ford on the replay. Now Ryan Howard, and Vazquez has not retired him tonight. Howard has hit a home run to deep right center, and he has walked. 2 men on, 1 man out. The curve hangs up and away.
A lot of times the catchers will give away what the pitch is. When they set up right in the middle of the plate as he did there, that's a breaking ball, because you're not trying to throw it to one corner or the other. And if he just stays in the middle of the plate, I've seen Jason Varitek, he'll start in the middle, then he moves to where he wants to go. But if you just stay there, it's obvious you're not throwing the ball in the middle of the plate, so it's got to be a breaking ball that you want to start there and move off the plate.
That ball is hit high and deep. Right field. Diaz all the way back at the wall. Goodbye. The second home run of the night for Howard. A majestic cloud into the bleachers, and that is a backbreaker. Suddenly a 1-1 game becomes 4-1 Phillies, and Howard with his 4th homer in his last 4 games.
Well, that's the difference between these two ball clubs, the power of the Phillies. But again, right there, Brian McCann set up in the middle of the plate. That means it's an off-speed pitch or a breaking ball. He threw him a changeup, and he hits it right out of the ballpark. They had tried to go inside with a fastball before. Watch where he sets up, right there. High changeup. High changeup. And Howard just drills it out of the ballpark.
The 20th time in his career that he has hit more than 1 homer in a game.
But again, sometimes a catcher will give it away.
So you think maybe Howard might have expected an off-speed pitch?
Well, I'm just thinking if he can feel where he is, which you can. A lot of times hitters can feel where the catcher is, especially if they set up underneath them. And you know where the catcher is, it tells you what the pitch is.
That may have been the right pitch, but the wrong execution. I think he wanted that ball down in the zone, not up in the zone.
Definitely didn't want it where he threw it.
30th home run of the year for Ryan Howard. 2 homers, 4 RBIs tonight. Howard has delivered all of the runs and now has 91 RBIs for the year, and that feels good. It's good to be Ryan Howard.
Now you know what he was meditating about, right?
Yes, so.
He said, wait till I get a couple of guys on.
He said, John and Joe weren't impressed with my first home run. I got to hit this one a little further. That one wasn't a wall.
No, that one was gone.
That was a real man hit that one.
I have to say that they wanted to pitch him inside. They tried with the fastball. They missed where they hit a home run. There's nothing wrong with throwing a slider inside, because I still think you have to pitch Ryan Howard in tight. Because you let him get the ball out over the plate, he can go to left field with it. He can do more things with it.
Well, the other thing is the fastball he made the mistake on inside was a 2-seam fastball that tailed back over the plate. I think a lot of times Pitchers will go four-seam fastball, a little truer. They can even cut that one inside on the hands a little bit.
Yeah, I was surprised that they threw him 2 off-speed pitches in a row like that.
And Worth swinging at that breaking ball, popping it foul, and back out of play.
Well, his fastball the first time up, they set up inside. Watch where the catcher sets up inside in here, and the ball moves back out over the plate. So he drives it out of the ballpark. This time he sets up in the middle. Now he moves a little bit out away, but it's still up. And you let him extend his arms like that, and you're going to be in trouble.
Ryan Howard now at 4 homers in his last 4 games after going 14 games with none, the longest drought of his career.
And remember, last year he didn't even make the All-Star team because he got off to such a slow start. Then he ended up being in the conversation for the most valuable player in the league award. He always has such great second halves, and he definitely can carry a ball club for weeks at a time. And if he gets hot, that'll be all the Phillies might need to win the division.
And the slider puts Worth away. Quite a battle between Worth and Vazquez before he finally succumbs. The 7th strikeout for Vazquez.
We looked at those numbers where the Phillies have had the great second half, and I think a big part of that is Ryan Howard.
Yeah.
He had the great second half, really put the team on his back. You know, I think Charlie Manuel said before the game, he said, I know our middle of the lineup guys, the power's going to come, but it's Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino. They're the guys we need on base to get things going. And they just happen to be the 2 guys that were on base when Ryan Howard hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, I think they need Rollins going. Victorino has been pretty consistent. I think you're right, though. Jimmy Rollins needs to be a little bit more consistent. And, of course, he has been since July.
It's only the 2nd time he's scored a run in 12 games against Atlanta this year. And really, that's in some ways the way the Phillies season has gone. When Rollins was struggling, they struggled, and in early July he got it going, and that's when they got it going. Tonight he gets the inning started with a base hit. Ibanez, Garrett Anderson in left, and that's the inning. Ibanez is 0 for 3, but Ryan Howard with a truly big fly, a huge impact, 3-run homer, and he knew where it was headed. His 30th home run this year. 4-1 Phillies.
Stewart. There's one. It's a no-hitter. His first career no-hitter. Fernando Valenzuela. 2 no-hitters in 1 day.
As seen right here on ESPN, our first year of Major League Baseball coverage. Dave Stewart with the no-hitter up in Toronto for the Athletics, and then Fernando Valenzuela for the Dodgers as they beat the Cardinals later the same night. And coming up later in this telecast, we'll announce the second baseman on our 20th year ESPN All-Star team for top players in our 20 years of baseball coverage at ESPN. Chipper Jones would certainly be on that list, as Derek Lowe is dissecting the efforts of Jay Happ. Derek Lowe, who also had a no-hitter in his career. That's a called strike to Chipper Jones. 2-1 the count. So the Braves need some runs now. Phillies have scored 4 runs on 2 swings of Ryan Howard's big bat. Chipper has lined out to left center and grounded out into an inning-ending double play against Happ. The Braves have only 2 hits against him. Brian McCann and Yunel Escobar, 2 of the top RBI men for the Braves this year, will follow Chipper in the 6th inning. Chipper skies one foul into the crowd. 3-2.
I was talking to Chipper Jones before around the batting cage, and I said, how you swinging? He said, well, you know, I'm getting some results. He said, but I just have an efficient swing right now. I can't really drive the ball. He's dealing with an oblique strain that just won't go away. Does affect him when he swings from both sides of the plate.
The high fastball puts him away.
He's really late on that fastball.
He's wincing as he's walking off right there a little bit too. It looks like maybe he did rotating on that high fastball. He looks like he's writhing a little bit of pain. And you see Jay Happ going up in the zone right here, which he's had some effectiveness here in this one. And Chipper just not able to go up the ladder and catch up to that one. And you can see him kind of cut that swing short a little bit on his follow through, and he's just not quite right.
The K zone brought to you by Ford. Ball 1 to Brian McCann, who ripped a double into the right field corner. You see Chipper still hurting.
Well, a couple of days ago, he wasn't in the lineup. Bobby Cox had him out to give him the rest. He walked in and said, I'm playing, I'm okay. And so he's been in there ever since.
They need him. I mean, the reality is they need him. They need Brian McCann, too.
Yeah, but they don't need that Chipper Jones. They need a healthy Chipper Jones who can carry him. So there's still a lot of time left in the season. If you're injured, get well so you can be the Chipper Jones that they need, rather than a guy that's just, you know, playing hurt and just trying to get through it. Because it was very obvious to me there that you get the ball up on that side, especially because it's his left side. Get the fastball up there, he's not going to handle it.
I like the other issue they have. They got Brian McCann in there now. They don't feel like they can afford to get Brian McCann a rest. So you've got your number 3 and 4 hitters. 3's dinged up a little bit. 4's fatigued as your catcher. It's tough because they're so important to your lineup.
The walk for McCann. This is Chipper as he swung.
Well, remember, John, there's a difference between playing with pain and playing with an injury. See, that's the difference. A lot of guys, you can play with pain, but you can't play if you're injured. There's a big difference between the two. And right there, I would say that's an injury, not pain. He can play with pain. If your knee hurts or something bothers you, and you just get through it with pain. But if you're injured, you just can't make the swing that you need to make.
Yunel Escobar, after the walk to McCann. Escobar has struck out twice on high fastballs against Happ. Takes this high fastball away. 1 ball and no strikes. Diaz, who homered his last time, is on deck. Jay Happ, 82 pitches thrown in these first 6 innings. Has now walked 4 in the game. A ball and a strike to count.
Jay Happ, you really realize how high in the zone he likes to work. He throws a lot of those high fastballs. He's got kind of a short stride coming down the mound, which allows him to stay tall. And once in a while, it almost pops out at you when he goes down in the zone with the pitch. He throws those high fastballs, runs it in on the hands of the right-hander.
As he did right there, but taken by Escobar off the inside. 2-1.
So what do you do? The guy's gotten you out on that high fastball a few times. You just have to take it?
Yeah, you make sure that you do not swing at it again. You make sure you start. If the ball doesn't start at my belt, I won't swing at it. That one's down.
Right center field, Victorino streaking across the green, now backpedals and makes the catch. 2 down.
Talk about Jay Happ. You know, Javier Vazquez is one of those drop and drive pitchers, the long stride to the plate. But as you watch Jay Happ, not a lot of wasted movement with him, but some deception with the delivery. As Charlie Manson says, the fastball kind of jumps on hitters. He gets tall and he kind of drifts forward, but his stride's not real long. He stays kind of tall up on the mound. He throws a lot of pitches up on the zone. The high fastball effective there, a little slider right there. Again, the breaking ball, the curve ball in the zone right there, but working the top part of the strike zone, not as much the bottom part of the zone.
Well, I think he's going to have to learn to get the ball down if he's going to be consistent, because they will handle that high breaking ball up there. You can get away with the high fastballs up there, but you start hanging the curve balls up there, as we've seen tonight, and the changeups, you're going to get hit. The high fastball is okay.
Very high there to Diaz for ball 1. High and tight. And Diaz, did he give him a look?
Everybody gives looks now. If the ball's anywhere in the ballpark, everybody, it's like you're programmed to give a look.
Little glare out toward Happ after that high, tight fastball.
Well, they're going in there again.
That one is going to fall for a base hit.
Broke his bat.
That one followed a banana-shaped arc into shallow left field, and Diaz has his second hit. He hits those lefties. And now Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, is going to go out and speak to Jay Happ with 2 men on. And Adam LaRoche, the possible tying run coming up. Coverage of the Little League World Series will continue on ESPN2 tomorrow night as Staten Island, New York takes on Bernardsville, New Jersey in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Final. The Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Reduced Sugar on ESPN2 Monday at 8 Eastern. Rich Doobie back to the dugout. Jay Happ, his name kept coming up as the talk was omnipresent every day during the trading deadline about the Phillies going after Roy Halladay of the Blue Jays, and Happ's name kept appearing that he might be included in a trade. He said he saw all those published reports. There's the ball up and away. And it bugged him a little bit, but he said he just tried to shrug it off and not let it affect his pitching. And I think he succeeded, because he has been very strong. You saw he's gone 6 innings or more in each of his last 10 starts.
But he doesn't want to get behind Adam LaRoche and have to give him a fastball down.
Well, he's behind him 2-0. Yeah. Peter Moylan, the right-hander, up in the Atlanta bullpen. He's a sidewinder.
They tried to go with a changeup then, John, or something, so he doesn't have to give him that fastball. But a 2-0 count, I think he has to give it to him right here. Just make a good pitch with it.
LaRoche was not supposed to be in the lineup tonight. Fastball away. 3-0. There's another lefty on deck. Ryan Church. LaRoche in there instead of Martin Prado, who again experienced dizziness before the game tonight. Although there is Prado in the dugout now. He's got a bat in hand, which hopefully means that he's feeling better. They were a little concerned when he reported having some dizziness again tonight. He left the game yesterday with dizziness that they thought was dehydration. That's a strike on the outside. 3-1. Prado has been a very strong bat and a right-handed hitter to boot for the Braves here in the second half of the season. McCann at second, Diaz at first. 2 down here in the 6th inning.
Big pitch right here, because you do not want to give in to him.
3-2.
It's a big inning right here for the Braves. You don't know how many opportunities you're going to get to be able to try to work your way back into it. You've got runners on base to be able to make a difference, and it does look like Prado's moving over toward the bat rack and the helmet rack.
Well, that was a good pitch by Happ. He kept it away from him.
Three and 2. And he walks him, and the bases are loaded. His 5th walk.
I'm a little surprised at the choice of pitches there.
I agree.
I mean, a fastball away probably could have sufficed.
He went to a slider on a 3-2 pitch with the left-hander up. And
with a 3-run lead.
So the conference out there, Ruiz the catcher and Happ the pitcher with the bases loaded, and Ryan Church coming up. Church, who has walked and grounded out of this game, and the walks have been the worst enemy for Happ on this night. As you see in the background, Martin Prado coming out on deck with the pitcher due up next.
One thing I'll say is I think Happ probably looked at it and said, look, I've got 2 lefties in a row. I've got to get one of the 2 out, and I'm going to get them out with my pitch. So I'm going to go to the 3-2 slider, and if I don't get him, I'll start over with Ryan Church.
Bases loaded, 2 down, and a fastball, and he does start ahead of Church. It's 0-1. Tyler Walker, a right-hander, has started to warm up now in the Phillies bullpen, and he just began throwing.
You know, if I in a tie ball game, I can accept that, but when you have a 3-run lead, I can't accept walking someone to get to another hitter.
Now it's strike 2.
Now, nothing in nothing or a close ball game. Yeah,
I don't disagree with you, but I'm just trying to think. Why would he? Yeah, why would he do that? Because I agree. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But what he's doing now is what Charlie Manuel said he does with runners in scoring position. He's the aggressor. He goes right at him. Now he's up 0-2, and he controls the at bat.
Bases loaded, 2 down. He wastes it off the outside and high. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Church, hitting only .206 against left-handed pitching for the year. They got him to be a platoon with Matt Diaz, for him to face primarily right-handed pitching, with Diaz going against the left-handers primarily.
Well, he's hitting .206 this year at the beginning of the game against left-handed pitching.
And he went to the slider and missed with it. 2-2 the count.
He's not able to throw a strike with the slider. That's his biggest problem. He has not been able to throw a slider in these situations with a slider. And I think that's what Ruiz is going out there to tell him, hey, you're going to have to go after the guy with your fastball. Let's spot it. Don't worry about throwing the fastball. Let's just locate it better.
I'll say this, Jay Happ does not look like a rookie on the mound. I mean, he is a very poised kid. 26 years old.
It's McCann at third, Diaz at second, LaRoche at first. Along the left field line, Ibanez just into foul ground to end the inning.
And that's the way to pitch a left-hander with 2 strikes, that high fastball.
They got him loaded. No runs scored. On to the 7th inning. 4-1 Phillies. all 4 of the Phillies' runs. Here is Pedro Feliz, the 7th place hitter, leading it off against Vazquez, and that slider is hit right to Chipper Jones. 1 away. Let's go to the studio now. Here's Steve Berthiaume with the Sports Center right now. Carlos Ruiz, the hitter. When we send along our thoughts and best wishes to David Wright, who not only has been a great player for the Mets, but a great ambassador for the game and for his franchise, and one of the premier players in the game. Still a young guy, a dynamic player. Gold Glove third baseman, hits for power, hits for average, steals bases. And it was a horrifying thing to see. Hopefully he's going to be okay. Carlos Ruiz, the 8th place hitter, 0 for 2 in the game against Vazquez. The count goes to 2-1. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips. We're with you from Turner Field, Atlanta. We were delayed in getting started with Sunday Night Baseball for an hour and 37 minutes because of rain. And the slider in there for a called strike. The Atlanta bullpen is busy. O'Flaherty, the left-hander, is up, one of 3 left-handers at the disposal of Bobby Cox, the Atlanta manager. That slider. Escobar takes it. Ruiz, 3 ground ball outs. He's 0 for 3. Now Jay Happ will come up. Happ has also grounded out a couple of times.
Javier Vazquez has gone 7 innings at least in his last 6 starts, and looks like he's not clearly on pace to get through 7 in this one as well. So a real workhorse for this Braves team, and a guy that gives the bullpen as much of a rest as you could expect out of a frontline starter.
And Happ takes ball 1. Vazquez scheduled to lead off in the last of the 7th, so this will be his final inning of the game, one way or the other, whether he finishes the inning or not. They will definitely pinch hit for him in the last of the 7th if he finishes the inning. As you saw, O'Flaherty up in the bullpen in case they need him. And when you face the Braves, I would think any team that would face the Braves in the postseason would like to have 3 lefties in the bullpen, because of all of that left-handed power. Utley, Howard, Ibanez. 3-0 the count to Jay Happ, and he walks him. He walks the pitcher. Vazquez had only walked 1 all night long. Ryan Howard might have had more success if he just walked Howard 3 times.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you get to where you want to rush to get the guy out. You've got 2 quick outs on ground balls. You want to rush to get through the inning. You get back in there a little bit, and just got a little bit too fine and lost his focus.
So there's Happ at first base, and here's Jimmy Rollins, who started that 3-run 6th inning rally with a single to right. One of the few times this year he's had any success against Atlanta pitching. Very high for ball 1. As Vazquez has gone over 100 pitches. What is he? Is he in a hurry to get the inning over? Is he starting to fatigue? Is he showing the signs of wear and tear on this night?
Well, it just looked like to me that he may be getting a little tired, but his release point is high. He's letting the ball go high. That was supposed to be a slider, and he let it go. He didn't pull it down like he did that one. You see the difference. He just finished that pitch off. The other one he didn't.
I don't remember Jimmy Rollins being this close to home plate. He's really on top of the plate. He struggled hitting the fastball this year, which may be some part of that, hitting only .238 against the fastball this season. That back foot is right on that line close to the plate.
Called a strike at the outside. 1-2.
You saw Brian McCann on those sliders trying to set up in under Jimmy Rollins' hands to try to break that ball in there. His hands get set up right on the inside corner.
pop fly. And Infante. That'll do it for Vazquez, scheduled to lead off in the last half of the inning. Then Infante and Garrett Anderson to follow. The Braves are trailing the Phillies 4-1. Field, Atlanta. Last of the 7th inning coming up. The Phillies leading the Atlanta Braves 4-1. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips bringing it to you here in the middle of August. Independent race, and Jay Happ, the 26-year-old lefty, not in the rotation when the season began, but he continues to be a key man in that Phillies rotation.
Well, you're right, John. And at the end of the 6th inning, we had an interesting view of the dugout. See, watch, he puts 2 fingers up, then he rolls it. We're talking about Happ here. You see it? That's his hand there. He said start over. That means start over the signs. Then you gave me 2, and then you gave me 2 right there. Now you give me 3. He said that's what you call for. And he's saying you did not follow the sequence right, and we'll show you why. Now here, watch, here he is. He's telling him to start over again. He steps off, so he starts over. Now he gives him a sign. Now watch his fingers. He gives him a sign. Now here comes 2. There comes 3. And he wanted him to throw something other than that. Now watch, he ends up throwing him a fastball away. And the next pitch, when he gave him the same sign, he threw him a slider. So that's what the mix-up was about. And he threw a 3-2 slider after the 3-1 fastball. When he got in the dugout, they were talking about it. And in Reed, you saw Jimmy Rollins and all those guys standing there because they're playing up the middle of the diamond, and they're looking for the pitch so they can get a jump on a ground ball hit towards them. And when he changed the sign, changed the pitch, everybody was confused. And a good job by Ruiz just to catch the pitch.
He ended up walking LaRoche with that 3-2 slider. And it appears that it likely should have been a fastball.
Exactly, and we were questioning that, why they threw a 3-2 slider with a 3-run lead.
Martin Prado, the pinch hitter for Javier Vazquez. And he has the count in his favor, 2-0. That is the 100th pitch of the night thrown by Jay Happ. There's Vazquez. Pretty good night for Vazquez, except for a couple of pitches to Ryan Howard that he might like to do over again.
Well, that's why Ryan Howard is one of the top players in the game, because he single-handedly can win a ball game or carry you for stretches at a time.
Is that a swing? No. 3-1 the count.
And both of the home run pitches were, I think, the right pitch selection, the wrong execution. The fastball inside, the leak back out over the plate, and then the changeup, he wanted down to the zone that he left up. He got crushed.
Well, I think you can throw any pitch, any time, if you execute it properly. There's a fastball that was supposed to be inside, and it rolled out over the plate. This is a changeup that's supposed to be down, and it's up. So you're right, the execution wasn't there. But I would question the choice of pitches simply because I think you can throw him something hard inside, meaning slider in, fastballs in, cutters in, rather than something out over the plate.
Well, that is the 6th walkabout by Happ. Martin Prado has been a top hitter for the Braves here in the last month and a half or so. Came into the game hitting .310. So he is aboard. And Happ continues to have a tough time throwing strikes, as the batter will be Omar Infante, the leadoff man, hitting .344. But he's walked twice already himself tonight. And that's a ball, down and away. 1 ball and no strikes. In the bullpen, there is activity. Chad Durbin, a right-hander, is warming up for the Phillies.
Well, he's had 4 walks in the last 2 innings, John.
And he has started 8 of the last 9 hitters with the first pitch out of the strike zone. That one's in the zone. Strike 1 called. 1-1 the count to Infante. Garrett Anderson on deck. Chipper Jones after him.
Well, when you look at him, he doesn't look like he's tired, but you never know.
Infante has swung the bat well. Had the game-winning hit here yesterday. That's right past the bag and just foul. Brian Knight, the third base umpire, out on top of the play. The last bounce before the bag was fair, and the next bounce after the bag was foul.
Brian Knight right on top of that, though, and making the quick call, the quick signal that it was foul.
But it wasn't foul by much, that's for sure.
Ooh.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Infante. A runner at first, nobody out. That was a hanger, but he's out on the end of the bat with it. And in medium deep left field, Ibanez. Out number 1.
Nothing.
All week, you've helped us celebrate our 20th season of Major League Baseball on ESPN by going to the MLB page at ESPN.com and voting for the second baseman on our 20th year All-Star team. The nominees, Roberto Alomar. In the middle there, Ryne Sandberg and Craig Biggio. Those are the 3 nominees. And Ryne Sandberg won the voting with 41% of the vote. 1 hop to Howard. Over to Rollins. That's 1. Back to Howard. A double play. Garrett Anderson hits into a pair to end the inning. Howard handling just about anything of a crucial nature in the game tonight for the Phillies. Victorino, Utley, and then Ryan Howard with the lefty O'Flaherty coming in.
think outside the bun. And in part by Cabot Wood Stains. Our performance is legendary.
Now to the 8th inning here in Atlanta. 4-1, the Phillies leading the Braves. And Eric O'Flaherty has come into pitch now for Atlanta with the switch hitting Victorino, followed by two lefties, Utley and Howard, coming up. So O'Flaherty in his 59th game of the year. 39 innings, 34 hits allowed. First ball swinging, a soaring pop-up. And Infante one away. And Victorino is now 2 for 4. He had a double in the first, but he had a big single after Rollins' single in the 6th. The two of them were on base, setting the stage for Ryan Howard's tie-breaking 3-run homer. That's the difference in the game. Those two pace setters at the top of the order getting on base, and Howard doing that thing he does so well.
And this is why you want left-handers in your bullpen for these guys, Utley and Howard, and even Victorino. That's what you want, to force, them to have to face a left-hander late in the ball game.
The fastball is inside. Remember, we had opening night. Atlanta played in Philadelphia for the first game of the 2009 Major League season. And that night, Utley, Howard, and Ibanez, the three big lefties, were in a row. And sure enough, Bobby Cox brought in one of those lefties late in that game to face all three of them and shut them down, I think in relief of Derek Lowe, who was great that night. And we wondered at that time if that would be a problem as the season went along. It was Mike Gonzalez came in, but he walked Chase Utley, then struck out both Howard and Ibanez to end that game. And that slider misses for a ball from O'Flaherty to Chase Utley, who was 0 for 3 tonight. This is back opening night, the first game of the 2009 season. That was the strikeout of Howard, and then he got Ibanez, and that wrapped up the opener. Atlanta beat the Phillies that night 4-1 in a game in which Jeff Francoeur, who's no longer with the club, hit a home run on the first pitch he saw, and the center fielder Schaefer hit a home run in his first major league at bat. And he's not
AAA, right?
he's gone. Yeah, he's back in AAA. And the Braves ultimately had some outs in the lineup that Frank Wren, the general manager, went about the process of trying to fix, and he made some deals. One of the things he did was Schaefer went back to the minor leagues for more seasoning, as Chase Utley ends up getting a walk there with Ryan Howard coming up. And there is Medlin, the young right-hander, flamethrower in the Atlanta bullpen. Bullpens here are not fan-friendly in terms of a lot of the trends in the new ballparks has been bullpens where everybody in the ballpark virtually can see who's warming up in each bullpen. Not in Atlanta. They're hidden. Here is Ryan Howard. He has driven in at least one run in each of his last 7 games. He's driven in all 4 of their runs tonight. And back to the bag is Utley at first. LaRoche on the bag with him.
Tonight is one of those examples of why you can live with the strikeouts that Howard provides, for the year.
There's that bullpen for the visiting team. That's to center field for a base hit.
Guess that tells you when Howard's swinging the bat well, it doesn't matter, lefty or righty.
Well, that's just a single, Joe.
Yeah, but it's a lousy
single. I'm going to good piece.
Yeah, but it's not. It wasn't a strikeout.
I'm going with O'Flaherty shutting him down.
Well, I'm sure Flaherty's happy.
Javier Vazquez not so happy. Ryan Howard took him deep twice.
Well, he did, but Javier Vazquez, I think overall had a pretty good outing in this game, especially when he kept the ball down in the zone. He has that long stride to the plate, and he pounded the bottom of the strike zone, and that's where he found his effectiveness with his breaking ball and his changeup. But when he got the ball up in the zone and missed his spots a little bit, Ryan Howard made him pay on the fastball, then he made him pay on the changeup. So Javier Vazquez made a couple mistakes in this game, and he paid a dear price for them.
Well, now here's O'Flaherty having to face a right-handed hitter. They don't have the 3 lefties in a row here, so after Utley walked and Howard singled, here is Worth. Was unable to get the 2 left-handed hitters out. Maybe he'll have more success against the right-handed hitter. And he's trying to paint the edges here. That changeup missed. 1 ball, 1 strike to Worth, who has struck out twice and grounded out to short once. And I guess that would be the ideal result if you're O'Flaherty here, to get him hit a ground ball at somebody to get the inning-ending double play. Came back with a fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We have just moved past midnight here Eastern Daylight Time. Good night and good morning. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips. The witching hour is upon us as the ball has been fouled back out of play by Jason Worth. 4-1. The Phillies leading. The Phillies got a home run from Howard in the 2nd inning against Vazquez. And then Matt Diaz homered to tie the game for Atlanta in the 4th. But Howard hit a 3-run shot to right that you saw a moment ago that untied it rather emphatically. 2-2 the count. The changeup missing to Worth. Worth, who has seen more pitches per plate appearance this year than any other big league hitter. More than 4.5 pitches per plate appearance. And it's going up now. That was pitch number 5 of this sequence.
Got a feel for taking that ball just off the plate. He fouls off and can spoil some tough pitchers' pitches. We've seen that both of those options during this course of this at bat.
This will be the 25th pitch tonight that Worth will have seen in his 4 plate appearances. That's 1 to second. Double play. Infante caught it. Escobar hustled over and got the throw just before Utley could get back. Second time that Utley had been involved in one of those line drive double plays. 4-1 Phillies. Against Jay Happ. This is the 4th time through. Chipper has lined out to left center, grounded into a double play, and struck out. Happ just throwing his 109th pitch of the game. The bullpen is busy. Setup man Ryan Madsen has started to throw. There is Victorino, and Chipper has been shut down tonight.
Well, it's much easier for him to hit that low fastball than it is the high fastball. As you can see there, much better swing.
There's Madsen up in the bullpen. This summer, please join Major League Baseball and the people all-stars among us in your community by signing up to volunteer at MLBGoBeyond.com. MLBGoBeyond.com. McCann, the cleanup man, takes a strike. McCann has doubled, grounded out to first, and walked. 4-1 Phillies over the Braves here in the 8th. And the curveball is in the dirt. Brian McCann, his average has fallen about 25 points the last 2-3 weeks. And that is problematic because of the fact that he's a catcher and there's a lot of wear and tear on the catcher, but he's also their cleanup hitter. They suffer when he does not play.
Well, listen, I had that with Mike Piazza when I was running the Mets, and he was our cleanup hitter in the lineup. And it's tough. I mean, you hate to take him out of the lineup, especially in National League. You don't have the DH slot to keep that bat in there. And it really does change your offense when that number 4 hitter is the catcher and he's not in the lineup.
Chases the high fastball and fouls it out of play. One of the best hitting catchers in the game. And his double tonight, his 44th extra base hit of the season. Only Joe Mauer, among any regular catcher playing in the big leagues, has even close to that number of extra base hits this year. Of course, Joe Mauer is in sort of a different planet. He started the day hitting .378 for the season.
If you remember, Joe Mauer missed the first month of the season, and he's got those kind of extra base hits.
McCann also spent time where he was inactive with the problems he was having with his eyes, which they finally corrected. He's wearing these lenses now that seem to work for him.
It's interesting to me. I mean, Charlie Manuel let Jay Happ stay out there 116, 117 pitches. And he threw 127 pitches 2 starts ago in a complete game. There's Charlie going out right now. This is a heavy workload for this young man. Rookie year, logging a lot of pitches, and you see the numbers there, high 127, and tonight 117 pitches. So he is really given Charlie Manuel an outstanding effort in this game.
And has done so repeatedly, time after time. His 16th start of the year. He leaves ahead 4-1, looking pretty strong for his 9th win of the year. 4-1 Phillies. Chew down. We'll be right back. Computer. For more details, visit MLB.tv, where baseball is always on. Jay Happ, 7 2/3 innings strong, 1 run allowed on only 3 hits. He lowered his earned run average to 2.66 in the last 25 seasons. Only Hideo Nomo of the Dodgers, as a rookie, had an ERA that low for the full year. And whether or not Happ will finish with an ERA that low, we don't know. But it's been pretty impressive so far. So here is Matson now with 2 down and nobody on. Yunel Escobar, the hitter, that's in there for a strike. Now, we talked a couple times tonight about Lidge, the closer, who had the blown save yesterday, but he also got the save, or got the win actually. No, he got the save. What am I saying?
Well,
he got the save.
Reno saved him.
Howard hit the home run in the 9th inning, and then Lidge came in and saved it at the bottom of the 9th inning, although he gave up some long fly balls in that 9th inning. But he pitched 2 straight days, and will he pitch a third in this game if it's still a save situation? Or will they have Matson just try to finish it off himself?
My guess is Matson stays in because this is a big game for them, and they cannot afford to develop and fix Brad Lidge in this one. They need to win this game. This, as we talked earlier, this is a big swing game. It goes from 4-game lead to 6-game lead. I think you've got to go for some predictability in this one, especially with a 3-run cushion.
Jay Happ, 7 2/3, 1 run, 3 hits. That's a base hit to right field. Utley made the dive. Escobar's first hit. And Matt Diaz will come up. Diaz is grounded out. He's hit an opposite field home run. I don't mean one that he tucked in by the foul pole. He launched it out near the 390-foot marker in right center into the home bullpen. But pretty enormous shot for a right-handed hitter in this yard. And then he singled his last time. A broken bat, banana-shaped arc into left field. So he is 2 for 3. He takes a ball from Matson. Matson, by the way, whether or not he's going to finish this game, we don't know what Charlie's thinking here at this point. But he has not done well in games where he has been the closer this year. He had 4 blown saves in that period of time where Lidge was on the disabled list, and they used Matson in that role, and he had a lot of problems in that role. He's normally the 8th inning setup man in front of Lidge.
I do think, though, despite the fact Charlie Manuel's saying that Brad Lidge is my closer, they've got to be having some conversations behind the scenes about what are we going to do if he doesn't get right? What are we going to do if we don't get him turned around? And Ryan Matson is certainly part of that equation. You know, J.C. Romero, there's Brad Lidge there. And, you know, J.C. Romero, who might be a consideration, well, he's out with a strained forearm and not available now on the DL.
He changed up on him and struck him out. Wicked pitch. Now to the 9th inning. Ibanez is coming up. One of the Phillies' power hitters. The Phillies lead the Braves 4-1. road record in all of Major League Baseball. 36 wins, 20 losses. So they just made themselves right at home wherever they have played this year, although not so much when they're actually at home. Yeah. At home, their record is 500. They've won 29, lost 29 at Citizens Bank Ballpark, and they've had to come on strong to get to 500 there. Here's ball one to Raul Ibanez, leading off against the new pitcher, Chris Medlin. He is a hard-throwing young right-hander. Medlin, only 23 years old, and a soaring foul pop that will reach back into the crowd. 25,217. The paid attendance tonight on what ended up being a rainy night in Georgia. We had a rain delay, in fact, before we were able to even get started here. Game did not start until 9:46 p.m. local time.
Another changeup, 2 changeups in a row.
And again, got under that one a little bit too much, and Church handles it. Ibanez is 0 for 4. Ibanez has not really been the same. He was off to a great start with his new team, but when he came back just before the All-Star break, remember, he got hurt for a while. He came back, and maybe he came back a little bit too soon with the injury, but he has not been nearly the successful hitter he was before.
Nobody likes to go on rehab assignments anymore. You get a chance maybe to go down and get some at bats and work your way back. And they think, well, I haven't been gone that long, I'll just go to the big leagues. But there's something to be said about going down and getting your stroke back so that when you do come back, you're not overmatched or trying to feel for your stroke.
Pedro Feliz, the hitter, 1 for 3. And that's at the knees for a strike, I beg your pardon. 0-2 the count.
John, you were mentioning that the Phillies have the best road record in the league, and one of the reasons is they also lead in home runs on the road. Lead everybody in road home runs, so that's the way they're built.
Phillies strikes out. He tried to check his swing, couldn't do it. And 2 down. In the Phillies bullpen now, Scott Ayer, a left-hander, has started to throw. Braves have 2 lefties due up in the last of the 9th, LaRoche and Church. So Brad Lidge, though, has also gotten up in the Phillies bullpen. So Ayer, the lefty, and Lidge, the right-hander, now warming up in the Philadelphia bullpen. And the curveball in there for a called strike to Carlos Ruiz.
I think you'll see if Ryan Church hits, I think you may see him bring Ayer in.
Well, what about if LaRoche hits? He's up before Church.
Well, I mean, LaRoche and Church hit. I think you're going to bring him in.
Yeah, why not? That's got to be why he's up, right?
Right. I think this is one of those closer by committee things.
Bobby Cox has only 2 other right-handed hitters available on his bench. One of those is switch hitter Greg Norton. But you also have the pitcher due up 3rd in the inning, so somebody's got to be used there.
But you also may have a situation where you can use Ayer to get 2 outs and let Lidge come in and finish it off.
Just get the one
confidence-wise.
Right.
Yeah.
Confidence-wise and save-wise.
Yeah, well, it's not about the save. It's about the confidence.
Bring him in, get an out, score a point by doing it with the save. But also, I think you're right. Just baby steps and trying to rebuild that psyche and confidence. As they said, his stuff, he feels his stuff. The team thinks his stuff, his velocity, his movement on his pitches is the same as it's been, as good as it's been.
Infante and Ruiz retired. He's 0 for 4. 3 up and 3 down back in Medlin. Last chance for the Braves, and it looks like Scott Ayer will be coming in for the bullpen. LaRoche, Church, and the pitcher's spot due up for Atlanta. The Phils lead 4-1. the veteran left-hander. At the knees for a called strike. So the Phillies trying to finish this off. There is Ryan Church, another lefty, on deck. Ryan Howard, he's going to take it himself. One away. Ryan Howard just doing it all tonight. He started a beautiful double play to end the 7th inning. One of those first base to short and back to first, getting back to cover the bag. And that ended the inning with Chipper Jones coming up.
Much more nimble defensively this year. Lost 25+ pounds. Moving very well over there. And also swinging the bat like a man.
2 homers. He drove in all of the Phillies' runs in this game up till now. He has driven in all of them. It is a 4-1 Phillies lead. A solo homer and a 3-run shot. Church. And that's ball 1. So Greg Norton, a switch hitter, has come out on deck. And we did see a little bit ago Brad Lidge was up in the Phillies bullpen. And he's still up. That's a strike call to the outside. Church has walked, grounded out, and fouled out to left. Jay Happ, the left-handed starter, went 7 2/3 and only allowed 3 hits. He had been sensational since they put him in the rotation back in late May. You think Air thought he had him struck out?
I think he did. He was looking to see if the throw went down to third base. You saw him kind of pat his chest and apologizing to Hunter Windelstadt, the home plate umpire. Is my bad. You see him come in. K-Zone says that one got the inside corner there.
But called a ball. So it's 2. He wouldn't have had him struck out anyway. That would have been strike 2. In the shallow center is Victorino, and Church is out number 2. So Air gets the 2 lefties, and now the switch hitter Norton will come up. Norton, who has been better as a right-handed hitter, almost non-existent as a left-handed hitter.
You know, I've always liked Scott Air. He throws those strikes, gets left-handers out, and he can get right-handers out. Looks like that they're going to leave him in.
So Air with a chance to get the save here himself. Air's got a 1.75 ERA, but now the catcher Ruiz out to talk with him.
I think Charlie's trying to make up his mind.
Saying best 3 out of 5 on the coin flip as to whether or not he's going to go do it. And you know, Scott Ayers really elevated to a much more important role in this bullpen without J.C. Romero available to them. He's become the lead left-hander, and Jamie Moyer becomes the second left-hander in the bullpen as he moves from the rotation to the pen.
He actually was at the entrance, the way to get out of the dugout.
I was watching him.
And then moved back over and put his arms back up on the railing. Playing a hunch here.
Well, no, but I think Charlie manages people, John, not just the game. He manages people. And Scott Ayers, like you said, he's going to be his lefty out of the bullpen for a while. I mean, to get that one left-hand route, and he doesn't want to go out there and take him out of the game right now. He's throwing well. Let him get this save.
Scott Air has not had a save since he was a member of the San Francisco Giants in 2004, 5 years ago.
Well, let him get one here.
He needs one out more to do it. Norton, the hitter.
Well, I will tell you this, that if Scott Air does get out of this and get the save, Charlie Manuel will get asked the question after the game, what does this mean? What does this mean about, you told us Brad Lidge is your closer, you had a save situation, you had him warming up, why didn't you bring him in? He's going to get asked the question. He'll have an answer.
Well, the answer is he's pitched 2 straight days, and we're getting ready to go home tomorrow, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to overuse him. I mean, that's the simplest answer.
But I think the follow-up question to that is, why'd you get him up to warm him up? You know, and I think he's going to have to answer those questions. He'll have an answer. And you know what? He said, I just had a gut. I had thought about it, but I decided to stick with Air in that situation, maybe to go along what you said, that he's my lead lefty now.
This would not have been surprising whatsoever from most of the entire history of baseball until the save has become such really cash on the barrelhead. Before, the guy pitched well in the 8th inning, Well, hey, we know he's pitching well. Let's keep him in there for the 9th inning. Why would you take air out? He's throwing. You got the first 2 guys, no problems at all. He's throwing strikes.
It makes too much sense.
That's a foul out of play. 3-2 the count.
Why would anybody do that? That makes too much sense. Too logical.
But now, when you have a closer, that's his job. His salary depends on it. The sheer number of saves. 3-2 the count. And he walks him. What do you think? Do we need a saver?
Well, there he is at the gate again.
He's thinking about it. Okay, here he goes. The right-handed hitting Infante coming up. So Ayers still saveless going back to 2004.
Well, I think in Charlie's mind, he said, I gave him a chance. He couldn't close it, so I'm going to get this thing closed.
There is something about those final outs that are a little more difficult.
If you think about them that way. You see what Scott Ayers did, though? He kind of patted Charlie on the shoulder there. He said, okay, I understand.
So now Brad Lidge coming in for that hidden bullpen in the left field corner. Scott Ayers, who looked over his shoulder to see his skipper coming out, and said, oh, no, I can't believe it. And Scott Ayers thought, well, I'm just being brought in for those 2 lefties, and then he's going to pull me. But Charlie Manuel stayed with him, and then he ended up walking the guy.
Well, Ruiz went out and talked to him, so he should have known he had a shot at getting that save.
So now Brad Lidge, the beleaguered Brad Lidge, who was on top of the world last year.
That 7.27, John, is what worries you.
How about 52 hits so far this year? He only gave up 50 all season long last year.
Well, everything about all of his numbers are horrible.
Yeah.
He's hit 3 batters. He's allowed 83 base runners in 43 in the 3rd innings. Omar Infante with a runner at first and 2 down. Fastball a little bit high, maybe a little bit inside.
Well, you can say all you want about people telling you that he's throwing well, he's doing this, he's doing that, but he can't be. It can't be possible if he's throwing as well as he was last year that he's not getting some saves, and he continues to blow saves.
Here's the difference. Last year against his fastball, the league hit 270 against his fastball. You see the numbers, the difference in ERA right there. Home runs allowed. 270 against the fastball last year. This year they're hitting 367 on his fastball. 367 because he's finding himself in fastball counts having to throw the fastball, and hitters are sitting on it.
This one is a pop-up. Utley takes it, and that is the ball game. And it is a save, a 1-batter save. The possible tying run was on deck when Lidge came in. That qualifies.